Hello everyone, thank you for watching the new episode of C4D Personal Electronics episode 7. In this season I will bring you a fabric case. Let's go to the drying room to see the effect of the final product. Okay, so this is our tutorial for this time. Here, this place talks about some technical points of fabric, so I can take everyone to see what we have arranged for the 5th issue. The fabric case arranged in episode 5 of our online version. So, next, let's look at a real-life custom case. To start, we need to complete some models here. Let's take a closer look. How do we find its model? Here we see a real image. We can save it. So we can't see ours towards the end. So let's take a look at the golden discus typing and design first. Okay. Okay, the second picture. Then let's take a look at our third image. In this image, we can see the text in these areas. So if we're going to do it, let's try to do it even better, okay? Okay, let's open this picture here. From this picture, we can clearly see and match it with the other two to clearly see what we want to get. Or what kind of effect is it, right? Okay, next, let's see how we can change it. Alright, we open our test disk. Then similarly, we make it even smaller, because this way doing it this way seems a bit more convenient, right? A bit more convenient. Let's look at the first one first. The first picture. We first give it a disk because it has such an effect in this position. From this place, you can see it has some kind of effect. So first we give it a pipeline. We need to check the thickness of the pipe here. Inside there is another pipe. So now we don't need to worry about it. Forget about it too much. Let's give it an R. Choosing the frame mode. In this way, we can see it more clearly. So it's best to give it an integer. 1900, or say, let's go to bed. We can add more segments. The section of 80 includes its overall height. So a height of 100 seems a bit too tall now. Well, set it to a height of 50. Okay, this height should already be enough. Alright, that's all for this video. There are a lot of details in this. Let's open this image and take a closer look. We can see in this place it has such an effect, including its overall. Overall, we can't see it very clearly, right? Okay, but it's alright. We just need to roughly achieve such an effect. Then it's basically enough. We give it a introducing a rounded corner. Let's select one. By dividing, we can be a bit less. Okay, in that case, we've completed the disk. Next, we need to examine its hollowed out effect, the hollowed out effects. Good. What's being done now? This position at 300 includes below us. So here you'll see it'll have another one. Using a concave line segment method to simulate an effect. Okay, let's go back to this side. Then we tap on top of it. There's also a detail. Let's look at it. There are many spots, right? So you can understand these spots as a synthesis. How does it belong? We need to clone these boxes. So what we use is a radiographic method. Actually, it's quite simple when we take the images. It can be said that there are no frauds, as it truly has quite a few difficulties. It's all about doing some repetitive work. Recycle a bit. Okay. Let's make it even smaller as a whole. For instance, the number 9. Good. Now, as you can see, our clone is flawless. It's attached on top, right? Attached on top, okay. So, there's no problem with that. Let's change the clone again. 0.7. 0.7, move a bit. Or say 10.8, okay. We can infinitely paste some, for example, 36. So the part that belongs to the outer contour. We have already made it very beautifully done. Okay, then after finishing, we will see on this side. Such an effect is achieved in the same way. Through cloning. We make the same selection here, because the material is the same, so we don't need to think too much about it. It's in the center of our position, but its height isn't very high. So we make it 20. Overall, we expand a bit more outside. We can see very clearly here. Expand a bit. Okay, let's take a look. It's roughly what we see now. So what does it have in the middle? So the transition distance is something you need to be aware of. Clearly the distance on our side seems a bit too short. Let's make it 300. So let's look at this side. 280. Then this side becomes 260. When I'm making custom recordings, I don't make any adjustments. Ready? I got it in hand to record. So I really hope after you finish learning CCD time customization, you can do like me. Meaning after you watch the clip, you don't need to practice multiple times. You can basically solve it in one go. Okay. After it's done, let's move on to create this. Obviously, it also uses the cloning method on this side. Bring it over and then enlarge it as a whole. It's also quite dense, isn't it? We need to make a change here. We need to do something about it. Let's see some changes in length. It's about this wider, say 10 units wider. And then overall we can recycle a bit. It's okay to have more. Okay. After we finish, we need to change its height. So its height is equivalent to our discus height. Let me see how tall it is. So here it is 20. So it's very clear. In this place we also change it to.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay, as the ferry passes, we make this side smaller. So for example, let's say 18 is okay. After it's done, we'll try to reduce some, let's say reduce by 20. Then 20 units are completely sufficient. The height of it. And our height can be very clearly seen. We change it here to, so the same two principles. So on this side we make it 10E. There have been some changes. We have opened up a round corner here. Let's take a look at this corner. Can be a little less, so 0.2. Alright. Back to this spot. It also needs to open our rounded corners, making the corners appear somewhat fewer. 10 minutes 0.5. Okay. Then a very good effect has already been achieved. Let's take a look. From this perspective, we find that the thickness on this side seems too thick. So, regarding our proportional relationship, you definitely need to pay attention. Pay attention. You must pay attention.
We turn it into 3 colors.
It's okay. Look at this. Thank you. Alright, once it's done, we'll see something like this here, and on top of this there are some text, right? Some of the text we can choose one and shape it first. First of all, it is a disk, so where it's round, there are some grooves on it. So this is obviously easier to do. We need to drag it over here to align the overall proportion. And its thickness is beyond. We can move more in this park. Let's see, we currently set it to 25, so that's okay. The overall size is not particularly large. We put it here. There is a distance between them. Hit the original spot. So by its distance, let's adjust it again. Adjust a bit. Hot City. I will do it. Okay, in this place, the same principle applies to it. Make it narrower and then retract the overall. It's roughly like this. Alright, when we go back, after going back, we need to add some segments to it because we want to create a compression effect. Select its cap segment, okay. We've got it, and then with it. Before insertion, it's best to chamfer it. Of course, you can also chamfer it after insertion. This is based on your own because it becomes a polygonal line. It's entirely up to your control. It's entirely under your control. It does whatever you want based on your thoughts, assuming you have a thorough understanding of modeling. Alright? Choose, then squeeze it in. So, if the compression takes up a thickness, then basically it's enough. Let's go back to the coding level again. We need to chamfer some of the edges here. Okay, another memory award. Alright, so at the moment it is separated, which means you can set it up as a group. Currently, our group is a separated group. We need to merge all the groups here. So the method we adopt is preferential. Then you activate it again. It won't be disassembled. This is a group relationship of surfaces. The global relationship between surfaces. So now we have the number we wanted. We can take it out separately. Now we give him a UTVCD, that is, we have 6. We need to take each one out. Return to the coordinate center and then add our text on this. Select an object. Let's change it to the right. Texts are used in such a way, or it's okay to use the default, using the default in such a way. Let's make some changes. Thank you, Fuk. After completion, we proceed. After everything is finished, we need to perform a calibration of the ratio. Jobs. Back to the Braille diagram. Let's go and make a correction. Okay, so size about this big should be enough. Our next job is relatively simple, just to plug it directly. After that, you'll find that each part of our whole becomes independent. So this is the effect we want to achieve. We choose all of them, we give him one. Beveling the very top surface in this way, the overall look will appear more refined, smoother, so we don't need to add too many chamfers below. because the fewer the segments, the faster our operation speed will be. We drag them over at the same time. But, well, 3 groups. Now we just need to sort them one by one, like their positions high or low. We turn its squeezing depth to 2. So U fits perfectly. Alright, likewise. So what about the others? They've been retreating, so we can take copy one more time. Yes. Drag it over here. Marty. Wait, after we get these done, we need to mark it as primary. In this way, it will be more convenient for us to manage. We use cloning method. Each is independent. We need to match up the corresponding relationships. Alright then, the first one. And then man attack, resist with force. After finishing the main task, we restart to our clone. We select these few and directly drag them into the clone. And then, using the radial, we only need about 6. Then X, Z. I can see the UTVC entity. It's beautifully presented in front of us. We can choose according to our desire. Let's place it where we want it. Let's align it first of all.
It's a highly cloned one now.
Including the overall position it corresponds to. We can choose where to place it today. Let's put it in this place with the intention of marking it. And in trying to match, it currently cannot match, which is closely related to the number of hours. For example, we can, through his ways, to change our choice to go. On our side, we have an offset. You can see the offset, whether it's too much or too little. You can always change it. Take a look. 17. See, each one is aligned. So after achieving this effect, we can see that this side is a bit too little, not very good. And then align it. Let's settle on 12. Going back, only having 12 correct makes it seem more uniform, right? Alright, once this effect is done, let's come back to it. But we can see there's still some offset between them. We can remove it by cloning. Individually take us to do one a corresponding feeling, something that comes to fruition. Okay, let's take another look. So now there are no problems at all. So looking at the overall model, let's take a look at its size. It will be relatively large. Our size here seems to be even bigger, a bit smaller, right? So let's go back to in the center on the left of each. as you come, you'll see the center on the left of each is different. So we return to this place and use it. Align, and then each one is the same. We all choose.
Select, and then choose.
Take a look. Choosing, so each one aligns. Okay.
Especially good.
Alright, next we're going to scale it. Zoom in and out with X and Y. We can choose all of these here. Let me check some of the parameters inside. They are all uniform, right? So then we turn it into arch. So now each of them will become especially large, but the size over there is too exaggerated. We need to make it match our overall scale very well. A very thick plane. Let's look at this side. It's also quite thick. So here, change it once again. Of body, yeah. Once upon a time. But overall thickness. At the moment, the height of several of ours is somewhat too, high. The reason is it's crooked resonance. We enter the same input into D. Here, we've turned it into 1.7. In this case, the overall proportion will appear more normal. Take a look. Arguing with someone. In the same. Okay. So for the outer contour, we've completed it very well. Okay, now we go to select everything inside, so it all belongs to our outline. Mark 1 on it. What? So next up will be our inner original disk, which will appear slightly higher. But we need to look at it through two pictures. So here it is also solid, but on our side it feels hollow with the many things inside. For this type of had a meal, right? Alright, through this method we've learned that there is a base plate underneath us. So we can directly choose the original disk method to make it, you can choose to come over. That's all I have to say for today. We need to put it at the very bottom. And now as we do, you'll notice another issue, which is the proportional height seems a bit too thin, which means we hope to make this side. So we're going to try a little harder again. For example, give it a shot. 40 or 45 in height. Look at the height of 4 and 5. Huh? Check the overall height, okay? Okay. Next, we can take our original disk out to the outside and then make a perfect match. So now, as we can see, we have perfectly pieced it together. So doing it at that height is completely fine. So next up is our side. So on this side, let's take a look. It belongs to a solid one. It's also considered solid. Look at this side. The first side has a disk, right? The disk. Let's take a look. It gives us a kind of feeling. What kind of feeling does it bring? Okay, then I am very sure it's one. We choose this side. So this side also belongs to what it also belongs to us. Regarding the outer disk, we should place it on the side of the outer disk. However, its height is slightly higher. We can lift it a bit, elevate it a bit, to make some changes. With our side, we take this side out a bit. temporarily return here to see there are some heights, right? Some heights.
Return to the country.
Then we make its height a bit narrower. A bit narrower, you can choose to upgrade to R. How much? It's about this wide. Choose cross a bit higher, the overall line a bit taller. Let's take a closer look. Okay, it matches perfectly as you can see. So if we now start rendering, let's take a look. So the effect we want is like this. Let's make the width a bit wider here. Okay, there are seams here on this side. We need to look at the middle, where we will see some. So why are we at this place? We need to adjust its height.
Split it up to add some section 1 and 2.
Delete our document. We Ctrl+C it, Ctrl+C it. After the test, we need to make a choice. Next, issue selection. Day 1 can be higher. The A part, the transition between Taiwan is very good. A very good transition. Unlucky. After completion, it's not particularly nor the best. So we need to select it again and right click. In this way, the overall feel will be smoother. In phantom mode, we will see that it has a certain height. In this place, it has some texts. Some texts were used in the previous environment cloud disk for substitution. I don't want to resort to substitution here again. It will just write directly on this spot. Directly apply our name. So, if you want these numbers to become our substitutions, then you can do it yourself. Let's take a look at the N3 golden disk and see how it's done. Okay. So here we can see some text. And the same principle applies here. Choose our words. Choose the short end. Then after the text is completed, we proceed to apply our values. For example, pick the number. You can figure out what you want. You can open the course of text you want on your own, and we'll adopt its method here. Okay. So what happens after it's done? I hope it allows us because it has one. I really hope my text can be directly projected here, where we're going to choose, right, those are select, and then within the selection find the center line of the disk, rewrite, and in the grid it has a line extraction command. It can directly extract our segment, insert directly. So directly binding it here, we can see that we've already beautifully bound it. After binding, we need to confirm it. So X, Y, or Z, very clearly here we are using X minus X. Okay, test strip, let's see. Okay, try it. Okay, then into the rotation. So if you don't want to enter the rotation, you can do so through a text rotation. Let me see. The rotation of the text can also be changed. XYZY or our XZ achieved such an effect very quickly. So after completion, we'll return to this place to choose to add. Okay. You can also use it to make a change what we've seen so far. Currently, I find one of its directions is opposite, right? One direction we can reverse. Actually, okay. So after coming back to this place, we make a change.
Okay, give it a shot. Low.
In this cubic literature, we can plan a space.
Check it out.
Alright, so now we have an additional number. We can shut down 1042 and then check it out again. It's roughly what we're seeing right now. So its overall size is still what? It's still a bit too big. Scale it down a bit. Let's judge it as 50 overall. Take a look at the size of 50.
Give it a try.
Check it out again. Okay, 106, just right. Alright, once that's done, we can directly convert it into the current object. Then we can see it has directly become our current object. And we don't need to segment it anymore. We can rotate it in this way. Minus 180 condition. Now, you can see that we've already obtained it. One is to turn around to confirm the effect. At this moment, in one of our sections, we can see that our segment matches. The model doesn't match. So we need to make a projection. Return here and then take a look. Both of them need to be set for a day, right? We select this side and right click. The projected splines, we need to proceed with projection. Let's take a look at the application choices. We will see that we have projected perfectly onto it. So at this level, if we add pressure again, it will then look a bit nicer. So choose the 3 is already enough. Round the corners here by 0.2 again. Let's take a look. Generally speaking, 0.1, select 2, okay. Now we have beautifully complete the projection, right. Okay, then for our next class, we'll complete the gears inside and some areas outside. See you next class.